Brent Spiner says data, not data. Agnes says make it so to Picard. And today's podcast will reach 10 million views using just our imagination. Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
We are also joined by very special guests, Malissa, Longo, and Megan Elise. How you guys doing?
Hey. All right.
Awesome. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and this is The Seventh Rule. Today we are doing a review of Picard Season 1, Episode 10, the season finale, called Et Arcadia Ego 2. I don't know, did you guys notice that they kept saying you can fix anything with your imagination, like it was a little Disney movie? So let's use that.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to lighten it somehow with all the darkness the series is showing.
Yeah. But anyway, also quick shout out before we get into this. A couple of them. Scott Baker, who was our guest last week, he made a pretty interesting point. He says now that Picard's kind of been wrapped up in a nice little bow for this season, maybe next season will be more episodic, like the old school Star Trek, and he kind of hopes it does, rather than being serialized. So that's an interesting thought. Mm-hmm. And Don Crandall, who always has something to say, says that in the Picard group, he noticed that somebody said, so this entire season was made just to re-kill Data?
I was actually thinking that.
Yeah. Well, this is to
really
kill him in the afterlife.
Data.
Yeah.
But it's a real death as opposed to non-real death.
So.
You know what? I did notice something for the first time that I haven't noticed before, and that is the opening credits and the sky cracking in the opening credits and falling down. I didn't really pay attention to that in the beginning. And this episode, they highlighted that feature, and it was the first time I had noticed it. So it was like both me noticing it and them highlighting it all seemed to have been canon in this particular episode.
Now you understand, Strock. You just have to use your imagination, and it becomes true.
I know. Don't get me started with that. I think that thing can fix a lot of problems, but it's a little convenient, like a time crystal. But I did enjoy a little bit of it, though.
What did you enjoy?
Well, I thought the episode was packed with so much stuff. There was just it was literally like nonstop. It's coming off of watching a DS9 episode where they're a little bit more paced out and things run slower, and then you watch this episode and it's like, bless you, it's so many things just packed in, like boom, 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 boom. So much action, so many different tie-ins and ends of tie-ins that I thought it was really a good episode.
By the way, we do want to give a super quick note of appreciation to Megan Elise for braving this with, at the very least, a cold.
Yeah.
And
right.
At the most, something else that's going around right now. So thanks for joining us anyway and for being so tough, Megan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you'll be finding out results of your cold in a few days, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think of it, Megan? What were your first impressions? I mean, you've seen the whole season, so were you just anticipating a lot, or were you just kind of wait and see about it?
I'm excited. I was excited for the last episode because, a lot of the season was slow because they had to introduce certain elements, people, and it wasn't episodic. So they had more room to make things go a little slower. So I knew the last one there's going to be a lot. And a lot of what I thought would happen did happen, but I was still surprised by it. And there were scenes where I actually started tearing up a little. So I really enjoyed it.
What predictions came true?
Riker, because when he's sitting with Picard and he said, I'm still active, but he's not actively doing anything. but he could go back. He just needs a reason. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be in like the second last or last episode. He's gonna come back. Like,
right.
So I kind of knew he would be a part of the Starfleet group that showed up for Picard. But I still was surprised in a way because I didn't know how it was going to happen. Mm. And when I saw him, when I heard his voice, I was like, yes! Taking command, he's helping.
We'll cover a little bit more about Riker a little later, but were you expecting him to be on the Titan like a lot of people?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting him to be on that. And I have goosebumps thinking about it and just how the scene played out. And he's a good actor, Jonathan Frakes. Like, I'm impressed by his work every time I watch him.
He's amazing. He's gorgeous and charming and glorious, and we all fell in love all over again. Did you have any other predictions that came true?
I kind of knew that, I can't think of his name right now, but the Romulan, I kind of knew, that he was going to be kind of with the synths. Like, I knew that was going to happen, and I knew it would be the last second, and he would rethink his approach and I just didn't know how. I didn't know that he was planning on destroying what they were doing. But I knew it was going to happen. And I knew the stories weren't fully true. So I just didn't know how that would come out in the public or on the show for the audience to see it. And I actually thought that would be revealed not in this season, but maybe kept behind for another season just to expand it more. So I'm kind of excited to see what will happen next since everything kind of played out.
What about you, Malissa? Did you have any predictions that came true?
I don't think I had any specific predictions. I thought that, and I forgot his name again too. The bad Romulan guy that was seducing.
Nerold?
Yes.
Nerold.
I had a feeling that he would, have a change of heart because he was kind of leaning that way anyway. And I'm glad to see that he did because it made him more dimensional. It gave him more coloring, and rather than I'm just evil and I'm a Romulan and So I was glad to see how that played out. But I didn't have any predictions. The data stuff was surprising. I was surprised by it. And there's many moments in this episode that moved me to tears. I was bawling a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the concepts of death are very close to the surface right now. So,
I'm sure. Absolutely. So we'll hit those as they come step by step along the way down. Did you have any expectations at all, or did you expect it to be this amazing episode, or any first impressions?
I didn't have any specific expectations. There was a lot packed into it, but I liked how the first part of the episode was jam-packed and action-packed, and then the last part of the episode was slower and more tender and more heartfelt and poignant than the I'm in your face, attacking. Here comes the battle scenes, and I liked that. The arc of the episode.
Right. And at the beginning there was that sweet moment where the butterfly lands on Picard's finger and it flies away, and Picard says, "Lucky you." That's nice. That was cute.
It was nice. I like those little moments too.
Cirroc, we didn't ask you, but did you have any predictions for the episode, or have you just not even tried to? Because
we had some predictions, and I think we predicted that Worf or Geordi would be introduced into this last episode. So as far as predictions go, I got it wrong.
Or maybe just season 2, it's going to come true.
Right. I got it wrong. So I did, it didn't happen. And so they did a lot of other things. And they had a bunch of lines and things that I thought were really good. A bunch of miniature like one-liners here and there, very strategically placed. The only thing that I could say that I predicted that I kind of knew was going to happen was that Dr. Agnes was going to flip. When she joined originally, it seemed half-hearted. She's like, yeah, well, yeah, I'll, don't you need a doctor? And I can help you with the project. And it didn't seem like a real alliance with the synthetics. And then, so I kind of felt the whole time, she's just doing this to buy time, to find a way to escape. So that part I kind of predicted.
Yeah, we weren't, you guys weren't fooled by Dr. Aggie, right? We all knew that she was still one of us. She was
Team Picard.
Yeah.
Picard all the way. So, I keep beating up on it, but what did you think about that tool that fixes anything if you use your imagination, by the way? They fixed the ship with it. They just they're like, well, maybe you just have to think about it and it happens. What do you think?
I think it's too easy. So I didn't like it in that sense. I mean, the only obstacle was when, I can't think of his name, the captain couldn't.
Rios.
Yeah.
Rios.
I can't even think that name. But he couldn't utilize it. And it just took him a moment, and then he's like, oh, okay. But I just found it too easy.
Well, I think if they gave more of an explanation as to how it works with your imagination, I mean, what in it connects with your psyche or subconscious that helps it connect to your imagination, I don't understand how that's possible.
Yeah, and I thought of the other applications of it, like why wouldn't they use that to build the tower that they were going to communicate with the?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they use that to build other synthetics or
that Lego tower where she was just kind of putting Lego blocks?
Yeah. So there were things like that. I just felt like it's too abstract. It doesn't have enough limitations on it. I mean, does it work for people? Why wouldn't you use it to fix Picard then? And
that's
just
what
say,
I was thinking too.
I said that in my group last night, the Picard group, and I said, I kept thinking, why don't they just use their imagination and bring about? Oh, like I'm going to imagine his brain working again, and it's going to be fine. And then somebody responded like, it only works on ships, not people. Come on. And I'm like,
come on, man.
How silly of me.
Don't you know how to use your imagination, bro?
Yeah.
Come on.
You know that people can fix things with their imagination, but they can't.
Clearly on mechanical items only, not on cellular.
So obvious.
Well, and then I wonder if they're thinking about it in terms of like a prosthetic limb, where it does connect to your brain, so they can move the fingers on it. So maybe it's something to that effect, but I don't really know. If they explained how it worked better, then maybe I would buy it more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many applications, right? I mean, instead of just multiplying yourself into 1,000 refracted images of yourself, you could make a weapon that could destroy all the 250 ships that are in front of you. You can make a force field that blocks them. You could pretty much make anything with this so-called imagination thing, and that's why I feel like it didn't have enough limitations on it, or at least specifications on what the applications were. Like, okay, you can use it for a computer, you can use it for mechanical things, something like that.
Yeah, Willy Wonka would have loved it. But who would have liked it the most in the Star Trek world, I think, is Quark. If anybody could make good use
of my gosh.
Quark's got a good imagination. He would come up with something.
Yeah. More Latinum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Cirroc, you were talking about Agnes when she made her turn. There was that one line that she said when she revealed to us that our instincts are correct, that she's not on team bad guy, but instead on team Picard, when she says, "I'm not their mother, asshole."
Yeah, and I was a little bit bothered by that because she's been so good at acting and hiding her feelings. When she was kind of co-opted by Commodore O and kind of a spy and killing Bruce Maddox and all the stuff that she's done, she's been very competent at her covertness. And then all of a sudden, she's like so obviously can't hold back how, her ability to be covert. And she's like, "You asshole." I just felt like it would have been easier for her to play that off, that she was like, yeah, I'm totally cool. Yeah, no, I'm with the team, with the program. And then switch it, as opposed to like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I'm on your team. I felt like overplaying that.
We should call that Romulan villain, we should call her Commodore. Oh. No, just when you said.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Commodore.
Oh.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. No. But she said a line though that I liked. That she said "crypto kung fu," and I liked that little crypto kung fu line. I think she asked Dr. Data. She said, "Yeah, I came here for your advice because you're really good at that crypto kung fu." And he was a little bit too gullible for me too.
Who was Alton? Dr. Data?
Yeah, Dr. Data Alton. Yeah, he was a little bit like, "Yeah, sure, I guess we would need you." Yeah, and he was just like too gullible and believing for somebody that you just met. You're not sure about, you know what I mean? I know you know about her background, but he was like too openly. See.
Sounds like a puppy got into something. Definitely a puppy sound. Yeah, and he was also very willing to go with the wind. Like he's on one side, and he flip-flops to the other side. What did you guys think? Did you think he was a little too wishy-washy or fickle?
Yeah, I didn't really connect with him very much in the last episode or this one. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't really connect with him either way. It was just like, okay, yeah, him saying this fits the purpose of him saying it. I don't know.
What about you, Megan?
It was just.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was, I get it, because you're trying to fit so much of him into 2 episodes. So it's very, he's saying what he's saying. But I did get excited with his last scene. So,
yeah.
Or near to his last scene, just how he kind of like came in to help, but still it didn't really build up too much.
Yeah, you're right. We didn't have a lot of time to sink our teeth into him and for him to have a big arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other thing I noticed too that I couldn't, just as a technical aspect, when he walks up to Soji's copper twin and shuts her down with like one press of a remote control, I was thinking, well, couldn't they shut them all down like that? I mean,
right. But
like, do we really need to blow up the whole planet and like?
She was the only adversarial one, although Seiji, wait, isn't that
Soji?
Soji.
Yeah.
It's Soji and Copper Sutra.
Soji. Yeah. No, I had a manager named Seiji, so that's why I'm like Soji. And so why didn't he just go shut her down from doing what he's doing? But yeah.
That's why I didn't. The shutdown thing was like big. All right, and I'm thinking, well, there's like literally 250 ships about to blow up this planet if you guys don't do anything. Why don't you just use that shutdown feature on that remote control there and fix it up?
Yeah, it did kind of remind me of a TNG episode where they shut down Data for a second, and Riker, I think it was Riker, walked behind and just touched him on his, like, fell forward. So it kind of reminded me of that. Maybe it was a little throwback to that, but I agree. Like, wouldn't you use that on everyone or all the synths?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost as to what's gonna, like, where the synths stand now, like how it all just ended. I mean, Soong is still with them. So are all the characters except for Soji Berry. She went back with the new team. But like, what's up with the synths? I mean, I'm sure we're gonna get some kind of reminder or a bring back, bring them back, in the second or third season. At least I hope so, because it seems like their story's not over. It just kind of got put on pause. Our friends fly away, and we're like, well, what's, there was no real closure there. It seemed like Soong kind of betrayed them in a way. So what's going to happen there? Are they all going to kill each other, or are they going to act like it didn't happen, or what's going to happen there?
Yeah, I think they'll probably go on like a community in the way that they did before. To me, they seemed, as for the reason why Starfleet, put them under their protection, is because they're a new form of life. They're a new kind of community. So they're going to go on living their life as before. And Soong is going to be their papa, as always. But I think it just shows us that the synths have their own kind of life cycle, in the same way that humans have their own kind of life cycle. The gold one that he put to sleep, and I forgot her name too, but she proved that she was no better than humans, and vice versa. So each one is capable of learning and has their own personality, just like Data has a different personality than Soji. So
and lore.
And lore. So it's just, I think it's another life form or life species of life that may be explored in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, I did also want to talk about this powwow that Rios, Narek, Rafi had with, and Baby Elrond shows up. Then they kind of like sat by the fire and just kind of told like ghost stories. Did you notice that? Did you guys get that impression that they're kind of sitting around telling ghost stories? What was the thing? The Ganmadan? It's like their little Armageddon, and the ghosts come up, and I don't know.
Yeah, I got something out of that though that was different. I got that they were telling like these, basically how each religion has their own story about apocalypse,
right?
The end times, and I thought they were just taking, our normal Christian, Jewish faith kind of philosophies and taking them and putting different names on them,
right?
But basically making the same comparison about the prophecy of the end of the world or whatever it is, and how you don't have to fulfill that prophecy, right? You don't have to be the thing that makes it come true. So,
right.
But yeah, they did have a powwow with the Ragnarok, Judgment Day, and the Gamadan.
You notice too that Ganmadan's almost an anagram of Armageddon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's got to be deliberate. Hey, we got to run to a real quick break, and then let's talk about a couple little trivioids, because there are a bunch. This was a tough one for me. We're going to be right back with the seventh rule. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the seventh rule with Cirroc Lofton, Malissa, Longo, and Megan Elise. I'm Ryan T. Husk. We are reviewing Picard Season 1, Episode 10. I'm not going to say that name again because I probably got it wrong the first time, Part 2. And real quick, we're going to, who knows if I said it right. We're going to talk about very quickly the little trivia pieces, the little trivioids that didn't make it. Number one was Rios calls Narek Snakehead. And I was trying to remember if that came from something, but when he was outside the ship, and Rios is like, "Not today, Snakehead." It's like, where? That just seems so like out of left field. I didn't know if that was a thing that they've said before. I don't know.
I don't know.
Thought it was really funny that Brent Spiner said data stream instead of data stream. He's data, and he was in the second season. We all know how sensitive he was about being called Data, like Dr. Pulaski in the second season would be like, Data. And he's like, oh, my name's Data. And she's like, Data, different, Data, Data, what's the difference? He says, one is my name. Or something. But then he says Data Stream. Agnes steals Picard's line. She says, make it so. Agnes learns a new magic trick. That was when she was imagining the ship becoming a million ships. Admiral Riker talks mad shit, by the way. Did he?
I like that.
He dished it out hard, man. My goodness. Picard takes a nap.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
And Picard and Data talk in a not dream. And Picard is now Gollum, which was weird. They kept calling him Gollum. I always thought that word was Golem when I would say Golem, but apparently it's Gollum. And then today's podcast, we can just use our imagination, whatever. Anyway, so what were we talking about? That was to make Megan feel more at home because she's up in Canada. Everybody,
that's the Canadian out there.
You're down by Are you in Edmonton? Where are you? Calgary?
Calgary. Yeah.
Well, it's a nice day out there today,
Oh, sun's out, snow melting.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the best line was when Elrond looked over at Nerold and he said, I still don't like you.
Yeah.
I like that. He's channeling Worf a bit there.
Yeah.
I think because Worf has some fun lines where he's, like in Deep Space Nine during the Niners episode, "Death to the opposition," or or he'll say this dry joke, and you never know when he's joking. But,
yeah, it's true. That's true.
It's little Worf-esque. I still don't like you.
Yeah.
Great. I really like that character.
Oh, really? You like Baby Elrond?
I do.
Is he top 3 for you?
Oh, I don't know. But I do like his character. Yeah. What
about you, Megan? Is he top 4 for you?
Maybe. I agree. He plays his character well. I don't think I can imagine anyone else in that role. He does it so well. And yeah, he does have a little Worf-esque, like the little one-liners. And he's more than just like a warrior. He's more than a fighter. He has emotions. And it shows. Like he's showing each emotion that he can play. He's quite diverse in what he can do.
Yeah. I like to imagine a different actor playing him. I like to imagine Frank Stallone. So,
okay,
who does it? No, but I think you're right that character has so much potential for comedy on top of just the fighting. The fighting is going to be cool, but I think what's going to make him a real gem, and they're going to explore it a lot more later, is the comedy. Because in every Star Trek series, there's the straight man, the one that doesn't get the joke, or that says something funny and doesn't realize it's funny or understand why we find it funny. That's like the Spock character or Data or Worf. Odo can kind of be like that sometimes. There's always that character where they say something and they're like, why is everybody laughing? I just told everybody how I felt. So I think they're going to have a lot of comedy with him.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of endearing moments. There's a lot of potential for growth for him. And I think we've already seen that in just the past couple episodes too. And his relationship with Hugh and I think there's he's got a lot of potential for growth.
There was a line here that Narek says to Elrond or Elnor, and that is he's like, no, I do very much choose to live because
Yes.
I've seen you do this before. So I know the right answer to this time. It's don't choose to die, choose to live in this exact moment. So I like the way he did that.
Yeah.
You're right. That was solid. Good writing there.
It was good writing. He shut him down. Like, no, please, let's not go there.
Yeah.
He's like, I know you, man. I know who you are.
Yeah.
It's cool.
This is usually the beginning of where somebody gets their head chopped off. So let's stop this now.
I choose to live.
I choose to live. Very much
Yes.
choose to live. All right? Is
Yeah.
that clear? The other thing that I liked was the scene with Rafi and Rios. And they had a lot of moments together. They've really started to develop a cool friendship together where
Mhm.
I really buy that they're really tight, you know? And the moment where Rafi teaches Rios how to use the imagination gun, she's like, yeah, just do this. She like basically talks him through it. Like just pretend, da 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 da. And at the end of that scene, she's like 3 beautiful words. And she's waiting for Rios to say them. He's like, yeah, you were right.
She's like, say it again.
I love that.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah, it's off. I'm not saying it again.
Wait, what? What was it?
Yeah, but just a little moment right there is the kind of friendship building that they do on Star Trek that's so good. It's like it's a small moment. It's just like it's 2 people alone in the room, but it just builds up their friendship. It gives you the little interaction between them, you know. And I like the way they do that on this show.
Does that, speaking of that Star Trek kind of creates those good friendships and relationships, which is so true. Does their relationship remind you of a relationship in previous Treks? I know Megan was immediately like, ooh, this one, I don't know about this question.
Maybe.
Like who? I'm trying to think if it does for me.
Maybe like early day B'Elanna. Because there's a lot of like, he'll always say like piss off to her. Like he's done it before. He's like piss off. And she's like, okay, pissing off. Which I thought is cute because she's respectful of being playful. Like they have a really cute, playful relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, in this episode, he told her to piss off in a playful way. So they understand each other enough that they don't take what is being said to heart. Like they know it's playful. So I think maybe Alana and like early where she came back from Maquis. I'm trying to think of like with who.
Chakotay or maybe Tom later.
Maybe Harry, like, because she experienced time with him first, and she kept saying like she was kind of very short with him and like piss off kind of attitude with him. And then TNG Worf with Will Wheaton, Crusher.
Really?
Because in like the early stages,
wow.
Will Wheaton's character would kind of follow Worf around or ask him questions, and he'll be like, "Leave me alone," or like he'll say like a little one-liner zing. And then he was like, "Oh, okay, sorry." But then
when you said Worf, I was kind of thinking of Worf and Guinan a little bit because Worf could be as grumpy as he wanted, and Guinan would just smile through it and be like, "Why don't you have some prune juice? You obviously got to poop, dude."
Yeah.
Like, she wouldn't take it. She was like, "Whatever, I don't care."
Yeah.
I would say probably for me, Miles and Julian.
Mm-hmm.
Because they started out, you know, Miles was like, I hated you when I first met you. And then by the end of the show, they were best friends. So it was, you know, I see that kind of build up. Not that they hated each other, but, you know, there's maybe in the odd couple of best friends. The 2 people you wouldn't think of as friends ended up being, you know, buddies.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, speaking of buddies, 7 of 9 is no longer my buddy. I don't think I'll ever forgive her for killing Narissa Rizzo.
Oh, I'm so glad she did.
Oh, you had a crush
Is
on
she dead?
Narissa.
I'm so glad she did.
I mean, I think there's a chance. I mean, you know, in Star Trek, if you don't see the character actually die or explode, they're not possibly not dead. So Narissa Rizzo may come back to give kisses to her, husband, brother. Once again, someday. She's always like nibbling on his ear and stuff. I thought she was an excellent character. I thought that the lady's acting, whose name I can't remember.
He was my least
favorite.
I thought she was really good. I hadn't heard of her before, but the actors that stood out to me the most were her and Michelle Hurd were the two that really jumped out at me. I thought. What were we going to say, Megan?
Oh, her name. I think her name's Peyton List.
Right? Peyton List. Got it. Mm-hmm.
Her accent threw me off all the time because it wasn't consistent.
Yeah.
So she was like Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, where it changed from scene to scene.
Yeah, and then her tone was the same for me through the whole thing. It never changed. And I know she's a Romulan, but I've heard other Romulans with more inflection in their voice. But that's just me.
Break the tie, Cirroc. What'd you think of her?
I will say good things about her and a little bit bad. The good thing is that I thought she is an attractive person and was.
That's her good.
she is an attractive person. Yes, she's good looking
and she's tall.
Yeah.
Punctual.
Yeah. And I enjoyed watching her fight with 7 of 9. I thought that was a good little fight scene.
Oh,
but the problem I had with her character was that it was always under the same. Basically, every time she's made an appearance so far, it's been almost the same scene in a different way. She comes creeping out of the back door. Did you sleep with her or not? How many people did you have sex with? And then, straightens them out on this is the plan. Don't forget it, and then kind of disappears. And I felt like there wasn't much more that they were offering her character to grow.
Absolutely.
It was almost the exact repetitive. I felt like I was watching the same scene over and over again when she showed up. So that was the problem with her as far as maybe the writing goes or whatever they made for her character.
One-dimensional, yeah.
It was just one-dimensional. But again, to give her credit, I didn't like her. I actually disliked her. And so that means she did a good job of evoking that out of me, which is making her an unlikable character. I did not like her. I thought she was, deviant and just there's no redemptive qualities for me.
How dare you?
Well, yeah, and that fight scene, the start of that bothered me very much because she sneaks up on 7 and 9, or no, was it the other way around? The other way around. But the way that she distracts 7 of 9 to take out the first move on her is telling her how attractive she is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's no. That doesn't fly with me.
The guys like that.
That doesn't fly. Oh, you're like so attractive. Let me do this move on you. No, 7 of 9 is too smart for that.
Yeah.
It's funny. I didn't even notice that because as soon as 7 walks in, I was like, oh boy, here comes the fight that everybody wants to see, and 7 of 9 is going to win. So for me, I was like, this is not even a scene that I'm really that interested in, to be honest.
Yeah, well, as soon as it happened, I was like, bullshit. I said that. I was like, no, please.
What if she was like, I want to cheat on my brother with you?
Well, I mean,
if you said it exactly how you said it, then it would have been good.
Nice. Megan, did you have any final parting thoughts on Narissa Rizzo?
I agree. I thought she was pretty.
Yeah.
It's like her tone all the way through. It kept making me think of. I thought of Lord of the Rings more with her than with Elnor. And every time I saw her, I was like, oh my God. I pulled out. It's Lord of the Rings. It's just Lord of the Rings. And when she talks like that other language, it sounds so elvish. It doesn't sound Romulan. I don't know whose thought process was to do it that way, or if that's just how she came out and said it.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think she's dead. I really don't think she's dead. I think she'll come back, and she's not going to come back to Seven or Picard or anyone. I think she'll either appear to her brother first, and he'll, like, at a happy moment, like he's happy, enjoying life, everything's going good for him, and I think that's when she'll appear.
Totally. Yeah. I think you might be right. When I noticed the more powerful Lord of the Rings ties, because we all kind of made the jokes about like how the Romulans looked like Lord of the Rings elves and all that. But when I noticed it was when they were telling the campfire stories, and they're talking about, like, I swear it just seemed like a Lord of the Rings scene where they're talking about the end of times and you know
the 1,000 days of pain, and he'll be picking his teeth with his bones.
So Lord of the Rings, the Goblin King will come out and
yes, therefore you should prepare.
I think you're right, Megan. And I'm hoping that they're going to bring her back and expand her role and say, look, if we're going to bring her back, we can't bring her back as just this one-dimensional thing that slinks out of the closet, nibbles on her brother's neck, and then slinks away.
She, even when Nerold came back, she was like, I want you to see this secret hiding place. I have beachfront views and this and that. And I'm like, what are you, hiding in a board cube? I mean, it was kind of weird, but I do say that I think that she will come back too. I don't think she's dead, Megan. I agree with you on that. I think that she'll come back, but I think that they're going to activate the board cube.
Yeah.
And she's going to be assimilated and probably be the Borg princess. That's what I'm guessing.
The Borg princess.
That would fit her better, I think.
It would fit her attitude and her,
Yeah.
She's going to collect all these hobbits around her, and
I never connected the Lord of the Rings to this, but It's funny because watching this season, I a lot of times felt like a marrying of Star Wars and Star Trek. A lot of times I felt like I was watching a Star Wars movie or something, but
I agree with that. I felt a lot of Star Wars references with, like, the computers, and even the ship itself was very like a TIE fighter almost. I connected a lot of that, and then the Romulans I connected with
Lord of the Rings.
So Lord of the Rings. It just was. It was. I know that's kind of like an old joke, and people get a little sad about it, but it's so true. And it does, like, I love Lord of the Rings, but I gotta say, like, keep Star Trek, Lord of the Rings. I don't want to see like the Amazon Lord of the Rings series where they're getting into spaceships and shooting Klingons. I don't need to see that, and I don't need to see Star Trek being. Anyway, I guess we should move on from Narissa, and we'll plan her comeback for the next few months. But one thing, what was it? Oh man, how cool was it? We're all waiting for it when Starfleet shows up with all of those awesome ships. Even though Riker was clearly on some green screen CGI thing with just a chair and no pilot and no helm, just like somebody in the background. But how cool were those ships to finally see those?
I thought that was pretty cool. To see them pop in from warp, that was pretty cool.
I wish there was a little bit of a slowing speed as they come out of warp. I'm sorry. Just visually for me, when they came out of warp, they and they stopped like on a dime. And I just wish they would like come out of warp and slow into a stop. It just visually for me would just be better. But I thought before that was Picard sitting in the captain's chair. It's like the moment where he finally actually was piloting the ship, and he was actually the captain.
And why didn't he activate the EMHs? He's like, I don't know how to do all this. And we're like, you have a crew that only does that.
The Rioses?
The dancing Rioses.
I love them.
Why didn't he do that?
Because I'm trying to pilot a ship, damn it. And you're stopping my thought process.
I did not spend 70 years in the world of God to bring on a show of Rios's, damn it.
Oh, yeah, I like how Picard goes into these speeches every time. Every time the moment gets critical, and he went on to the one about fears an incompetent teacher, and Agnes makes a really funny line after that, like, yeah, okay, can we teach her that in like 6 minutes? We have like 6 minutes. like that was a great speech, but we don't have the time for all that. But I just like his speeches. He's really good at those moments. Yeah, I mean they're like riling you up, but then like nobody's there. So it's a great speech that nobody heard type of thing.
Megan, did you have any thoughts on all the spaceships that came in, or Picard's speeches, or do you have a Picard impression you'd like to share with us?
At home, actually, like we're going through TNG. I probably can't do it now, but I'll be like, I can't.
We all stopped. We all leave.
Engage. But no, the thing, like him sitting in the chair, because he's done it twice, where he sat in the chair on this show, and I joked with Garrett earlier, I'm like, more people sit in the captain's chair than Picard, because even if you watch TNG, it's other people that are always sitting in it. It's Riker taking control, Geordi's been in the captain chair,
right, or
he's given the chair to Deanna Troy's mom the one time just to get her off his lap.
Yeah,
it's like he's never in the captain's chair. No, I was excited to see him pilot, and all the ships coming in, that's where I felt very Star Wars-y. That's what happened. It made me think, I was like, okay, it's going to happen just like Endgame, and it's going to happen just like Star Wars, where everyone just shows up, and it's like pop, 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 and then that's it. It's not like slow in. And then you don't know who's there. Like, are there other people? Like, did the Klingons also come in and help? Was there more to just Starfleet coming in? And how did they all get there at the same time from so many places? So it would have been neat knowing kind of a background on that as well.
You know, those of you at home listening in, when Megan talks about Garrett, it's a man named Garrett Wong who played Ensign Kim on Voyager. So she knows a little something about Star Trek. She's got a little, you guys all have insider information. I'm just the outsider here. But there was something about the way this episode ended, or at least the way the climax ended, that reminded me of just an old Star Trek episode where here come the bad guys and here come the good guys and we're all about to fight. But Picard says something poignant, and the bad guy understands and says, maybe you're right. We'll see you next time, Picard. And they all just leave, and you're like, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of done.
Yeah, there was a showdown like that. It was weird to me because Commodore O was like, okay, redirect your phasers at the Starfleet. Mm-hmm. We're going to take them out. And so you're like, all right, it's about to go down. We're about to see the showdown. And then all of a sudden they cut to Picard telling Soji, you have to listen to me. This is what must be done. And you see Riker is sitting there listening, and Commodore O is like watching, and I'm like, I'd be taking this time to fire my phasers right now instead of listening to the speech that he's giving to Soji. But, you know, that's the way they decided to write it, so they didn't have to do all the shootouts that they wanted, you know, that we wanted. And then the other thing I thought was interesting was I liked when Riker shows up and does his, like, just that moment when he shows up. What does he say? Admiral Riker? I don't know. He says Admiral Riker from the something USSS.
Yeah.
Chang or something.
I don't remember what the ship was, but it's in reference to an actual person in old Chinese lore, and I read about it last night.
USSS Chang, I think, is what I heard.
Something like that. I read about it last night, so it's gone now.
It's gone.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't the Titan, which a lot of people had hoped, because after Next Generation in the books, And actually in the movies, they mentioned it, that Riker is transferring over to the Titan with Deanna Troi, and later on, I read a few of the books, later on, Tuvok joins them. So it would have been cool to see the Titan, but people that were disappointed by that, remember, he took that over 20 years prior to this. He has since retired, and now he's on the most powerful ship in the fleet. That most powerful ship, by definition, really can't be a ship that was at least 20 years old. It's this brand new state-of-the-art ship, so that's why we didn't see the Titan. But it would have been cool anyway. We only have a couple minutes left, so let's talk about the end. Did anybody here think that Picard was going to die in the first season of Star Trek Picard? Because I sure wasn't fooled by it, personally.
No. I wasn't fooled. I still cried, but I wasn't fooled.
Yeah. I wasn't fooled by it, but I thought it was like, if you're going to bring me back to life, guys, whoever you are, and I'm about to be like, I'm facing the end of my life, and you're going to put me into this new host body.
I know where you're going.
Can I at least have more time? You're going to die in this new body at the time that you would have died if you did that. And it's like, that I didn't really, it was like a little too convenient for me, right?
Yeah.
Well, they did kind of allude that they didn't tell him how much time he had left, but
yeah.
And he was like, "Can we have 10 more years? 20? Please."
Properly.
What were you saying, Megan?
Well, they even mentioned it. They're like, more or less than what you would have lived. It's like, well, what?
More or less?
How far do you live?
I prefer more.
Yeah.
We didn't go over the line where Nero's sister, she said she told 7 of 9, 6 years old, all you got was assimilated or something like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Kind of,
they knew a lot about her, yeah.
Yeah.
For her birthday, yeah.
Yeah, and then she kicked her and said, "This is for you." I was just a little extra in there.
Now that we have to run, Cirroc, did you have any art you'd like to share with us?
Oh yes, this is the Lego stack beacon that opens up the wormhole with the aliens that are coming out of it. You see that?
Oh yeah.
Aliens.
Aren't they like snakes or something?
Yeah, we just saw some tentacles come out, and we're like, "Cool, it's about to go down." Romulans versus Federation.
It was the Tremors. It was, if you ever
The
seen
Tremors.
the Tremors. There's a bunch of Tremors coming out.
It was calamari, and then they just kind of retracted and all went away.
Because they closed the hole.
Overall, though, great first season, better first season than maybe any Star Trek series.
So we're done with this Soji stuff, like her storyline. I think the second season is going to go on to something else, right?
Right. They're going off on an adventure. Soji Berry's with them, but they're going to go off on an adventure, the crew of 7. And it should be a good time. I thought it was a really good first season. It was only 10 episodes. Most seasons back in the day would be 19 to 26. Anyway, since we only have 30 seconds left, let's go around and give it scale of 1 to 10 for the whole season. What do you think, Megan?
I'm going to be generous and give it a 7. I feel like it has a lot of potential. I just feel like they rush main parts. They slow down a lot of things that don't need to be slowed down, but everything else they rush through just to finish, just to complete it, and just to get it on there. I would love to have the backstory of that stuff. So a 7.
Great. A 7 of 9 though, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Malissa?
I was going to say I would give it a 7 as well. I enjoyed it overall. I think there's some things that they can work on. To me, there are some moments that feel too messy and they have too much going on at one time. And it would be nice if they focused the attention on a through line rather than putting everyone in the same episode all at the same time. And then the episode with Troy and
Nepenthe.
yeah,
Riker. Uh-huh.
that was probably one of my favorite episodes because it was focused and there was a story in the story. So if they do that, I think that number will go up.
All right, Cirroc, are you taking the over or under on 7?
I'm taking the over. I think
Yes.
this is one of the best shows. I'm going with an 8.5, and I think it's one of the best first seasons of a Star Trek series that I think I can remember. It started off with a good pace. It's gotten me interested. It took relatively short amount of time to introduce a whole bunch of new characters that I had no idea about, and I care about what's happening. So they've done a good job of that for me. I think I'm definitely giving it a solid 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, all things considered, for new people, maybe they mark it a little lower. For as far as the first 10 episodes of Star Trek series, it's like a 9 or 10. Just grading on a curve like that. So overall, I'd give it like an 8 to an 8.5 as well, because it was a little messy at points. It was a little slow at points, but there were some really nice moments, like with Riker and Picard sitting on that dock. That was just gorgeous. It gave us the fan service we wanted, but it didn't really bludgeon us too much with only that and for the story to suffer. So overall, I'm happy with it. I thought it was better written than I expected. They made a good blend of episodic and serialized, like Deep Space Nine Dominion Wars did, which made us also very happy. But anyway, I'd say I'm going to go 8.25 to split the difference.
All right. Very nice.
Anyway, thank you so much for braving your cold. And Malissa, as always, Megan as well, thank you for braving our jokes.
Our
I'm going to say thank you for Cirroc for taking the fall with me. No fall there. Anyway, we're Lee Majors and the Fall Guy. So that's an 80s reference. But really, thanks very much. And for all of you at home, thank you so much for joining us. Up next is Voyager. That's right. We're going to start reviewing Voyager, and Cirroc is excited.
I'm looking forward.
Evil genius excitement.
Evil genius.
Anyway, but thanks very much. We'll see you again real soon. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, think about us. And always remember the 7th rule.